Hey, today's video is about a car-related book that I want to show you some information about and ask you some interesting questions about. Here is the book 60 Years of Chevrolet by George H Dammann. This book is about the beginning of the Chevrolet era until 1972, from the first prototypes until the 72 models of Chevrolet cars. Question number 1. Do you know anything about the value of this book? Since a friend of mine gave me this many years ago, and he had found it in a second-hand clothes store where they also had a lot of books. I don't know anything about the value of this book. If you know, please write in under this video what you know about this book. And here is question number 2. Are there any book like this, perhaps written by the same person, about Pontiac cars? Since I own a Pontiac from '53, I am very interested to know if there is any books about '53 and even older Pontiac cars. In Sweden we had a General Motors factory which built cars from General Motors. Most of them were Chevrolet cars, but even some Pontiac cars and other General Motors cars were built in that factory. The cars arrived in big wooden boxes and were assembled at the factory, and later the boxes were recycled to build other stuff like summer houses in the archipelago outside Stockholm. And I live not so far from where that factory were, and maybe we should check that place and see if there are any remains of the factory building. In fact, there are. Yes, it's so close that I can walk there. I am now walking from Nacka, where I live, into the Stockholm city, which is over there. It's the next hood. If I had a boat, I could go there by boat, but I don't have a boat. When my car is nice to me and fire up, when I want it to fire up, I used to go over there. It's my local gas station, which is close to where I live. Over there, down there, were the General Motors factory. You can see it very well in this photo. No remains of any factory building here. Wait a minute. This is the spot where they used to take photographs of new built cars for commercials. As you can see, the houses in the background were different back in those days. The cars they built were for the most four-door cars. My car were not built at the General Motors factory in Stockholm. It were built at Detroit, Michigan. The Swedish models of Pontiac and Chevrolet They had the older rear window, which was smaller. So that was different on the Swedish built export car. In 1957 this kind of hood ornament became illegal and have been taken off the cars, and I wonder how they did with Cadillacs, which you are opening here. I don't know. And as you can see, mine is a two-door sedan, which were not that usual in Sweden when most of the cars were four doors. It was sold new in Massachusetts and have been in Massachusetts for what I know until 10 years ago, when a couple in the south of Sweden bought this car. And I have now owned this car for nearly 7 years and I'm still in love. Now back to the factory. The General Motors factory closed down in the late 50s, so I have been told by one of my neighbors, because his dad used to work at the factory here, and they moved over to another place not far from where I lived and built cars into the middle of the 60s, if I'm not wrong, and the factory building was taken down and other buildings were here, and later those were even taken down. And right here behind me were the garage. That's why they used to do the photography in here. And on top of the old garage they built a store that they took down before they built all these houses. And in here is the remains of the General Motors factory garage. There it is. It looked kind of old construction. Still there. The last one in this harbor. It's just an industrial memory of what were going on here until the early 80s. I hope you like to watch this video. Thank you for watching. By the way, it's not illegal to subscribe to my channel.